Cassie Ventura's husband Alex Fine is speaking out amid Sean Diddy Combs' criminal trial. Following the singer's testimony for her ex's trafficking trial, Fine releases a statement praising his wife's courage.
How did the most powerful man in music become the most hated? How deep does this darkness go? Who was the man who attacked Diddy in the courtroom today? And when the truth finally explodes, who gets burned? Diddy, or everyone who helped him hide the bodies? Stay right here, because once you see what really happened behind those locked doors, you'll never look at celebrity the same way again. What really happened in those luxury hotel hallways? Is Diddy a victim of fame, or the mastermind behind a web of manipulation and intimidation? Let's break down the twists and turns of a case that has everyone talking and no one looking away. The question is, can anyone judge Diddy fairly? Even before the trial began, the courtroom was already pure chaos. Picture this: the world's biggest hip-hop mogul on trial, and everyone in the building can feel the electricity in the air. The search for 12 unbiased jurors? Total disaster. Every single person summoned had already heard Diddy's name.
The statement reads, "In the past 5 days, the world has gotten to witness the strength and bravery of my wife freeing herself from her past."
And not just from music. They'd seen the memes, the trending hashtags, the explosive videos, and those non-stop rumors about secret parties, baby oil, and things nobody wants to talk about on camera. The judge was desperate, grilling jurors about every detail. Have you seen the Cassie video? Do you follow Diddy on Instagram? Do you believe celebrities get away with anything? People weren't shy. Some said straight up, that video was insane, or, honestly, guys like Diddy never get punished. It was like the courtroom was holding its own reality show. Every answer made things messier. Diddy's lawyers were sweating bullets, basically begging to find someone, anyone, who didn't already think Diddy was guilty. But let's be real. How do you hide from the internet? Every new leak, every crazy headline, every rumor had already reached the jury pool. TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, Diddy's name was everywhere, and nobody was neutral. Finally, the judge just hit pause and delayed jury selection. And everyone watching realized, this was no regular trial.
There has been speculation online surrounding how it must feel for me to sit there and listen to my wife's testimony. I have felt so many things sitting there. I have felt tremendous pride and overwhelming love for Cass.
This was a once-in-a-generation media storm, with more eyes glued to the case than the Super Bowl. But here's the wildest part. If you thought jury selection was insane, just wait. The real fireworks didn't start until the first witness opened their mouth. What happened next? Nobody was ready for it. Cassie Ventura, 8 months pregnant, hand trembling, voice unbroken, took the stand and dropped a story that rocked the courtroom. She told of a relationship that started with a birthday kiss in Vegas and spiraled into years of fear, manipulation, and psychological warfare. Cassie described so-called rituals, choreographed encounters she never wanted, freak-off sessions that left her feeling like property, not a partner. She spoke of being constantly monitored, her career and choices controlled by Diddy's inner circle. And she wasn't alone. Other witnesses echoed her story: secret recordings, blackmail threats, and a culture of silence that kept everyone in line. She settled a civil case in 2023 for a staggering $20 million, but explained, "I can't carry this shame anymore." For Cassie, telling her story in public was about breaking free from a prison of secrets.
I have felt profound anger that she has been subjected to sitting in front of a person who tried to break her. Fine then went on to address Combs, who Ventura accused of forcing her to participate in drug-filled sex parties, known as, quote, freak-offs, during their decade-long relationship.
And finally being heard. But, as Cassie spoke, prosecutors revealed they had a missing witness, a key voice who vanished just before trial. Was this witness afraid, or silenced by something even more powerful? While prosecutors searched for their missing witness, known only as Victim 3, they pressed forward in court with a relentless stream of evidence. The most shocking moment came when they played the 2016 surveillance video for the jury, a recording that captured Diddy, wearing only a towel, physically assaulting Cassie in a hotel hallway. The footage showed the reality behind the accusations, giving jurors something concrete to consider. It was no longer just words or rumors. This was proof caught on tape. But the prosecution didn't stop there. They presented emails where Diddy was accused of threatening to leak sensitive material in order to control Cassie. There were text messages filled with pressure and intimidation, all pointing to a pattern of manipulation over years. Witnesses testified about the atmosphere of fear, saying they worried about their own safety if they spoke up or refused to go along with Diddy's demands. Even details that once sounded unbelievable, like the talk of baby oil and so-called rituals, were used as evidence. What many thought were just jokes or internet gossip were now supported by testimony and physical proof, adding to the seriousness of the charges. The prosecution's strategy was clear: show that Diddy's actions were not isolated incidents, but part of a long-term plan to control and silence those around him. Despite the strength of this evidence, Diddy's defense team fought back hard. They questioned the reliability of the witnesses and the context of the emails and texts.
It is day 2 of the Sean Diddy Combs federal trial. Combs' ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, she is one of Combs' many accusers, testifying as a central witness.
Every point brought up by the prosecution was challenged, and the defense did their best to cast doubt on the video and all other proof. Both sides were determined and aggressive, turning the trial into a dramatic showdown that kept everyone, inside and outside the courtroom, waiting to see what would happen next. As the prosecution laid out their case, Diddy's defense team went on the offensive, determined to fight back against every damaging accusation. Their strategy was bold and risky. They didn't deny that Diddy had lived a wild, unpredictable life. In fact, they admitted he'd made mistakes, partied hard, lost his temper, and sometimes crossed the line. But, according to the defense, none of this made him a criminal. They argued that Cassie and Diddy had a complicated, high-profile relationship filled with drama, jealousy, and over-the-top moments, but always by choice. The so-called rituals and wild stories, the defense brushed them off as consensual, saying everything was agreed upon by adults. They described Cassie not as a victim, but as someone who participated willingly in Diddy's fast-paced world. When it came to the infamous surveillance video that showed Diddy assaulting Cassie in a hotel hallway, the defense pushed back even harder. They claimed the footage was taken out of context, edited for maximum impact, and never showed the full story. They insisted it was just one intense moment in a long, complicated relationship, not proof of a crime. The defense also tried to shift the blame onto Cassie and other women involved, suggesting they always had the freedom to leave.
Is she ready?
Very ready and confident. Thank you.
But chose to stay because of the perks that came with being close to Diddy. In their version, these women only came forward after things ended badly, painting themselves as victims for attention or personal gain. Cross-examination became a battleground. The defense pressed every witness, searching for contradictions or mistakes in their stories, trying to make the jury question everything. They pointed to Diddy's drug use as a reason for his unpredictable behavior, hoping to convince the court he wasn't acting out of criminal intent. Despite their aggressive approach, the evidence against Diddy kept stacking up: leaked messages, witness accounts, and that shocking video. The defense was fighting an uphill battle, working overtime to convince the jury that what looked criminal was actually just the chaos of celebrity life. The tension in the courtroom only grew. Both sides were relentless, every moment more intense than the last. While the defense did everything in their power to protect Diddy's reputation and freedom, the prosecution never stopped pushing forward, determined to prove that this time, fame wouldn't be enough to save him. The industry can't look away. Outside the courthouse, the chaos reached another level. The trial wasn't just a legal battle. It became a non-stop spectacle on the internet. Every day, new hashtags shot to the top of trending lists. Social media exploded with hot takes and conspiracy theories. Instagram was flooded with old photos and dramatic throwback videos from Diddy's career. YouTube channels turned every court update into breaking news, analyzing every detail and feeding the hype. Diddy's own family couldn't escape the spotlight. Paparazzi captured his mother, children, and even ex-girlfriends coming in and out of the courthouse, all with tense, unreadable expressions.
Among other things, the singer is expected to address the 2016 video of Combs attacking her in a hotel when she was his girlfriend.
Their silence only added to the rumors and speculations swirling online. But the biggest shockwaves came from inside the industry. Producers, musicians, and former associates started speaking out, some anonymously, about the toxic culture behind the scenes. There was talk about years of secrets, cover-ups, and how powerful people in music protected their own. One former star put it bluntly, "This is the end of an era that brought nothing but pain." It was becoming clear that Diddy's trial wasn't just about his own actions. People started questioning the entire system that let stars get away with so much for so long. And just as the world tried to process these revelations, the situation got even messier. New lawsuits against Diddy and his circle began piling up, each one bringing fresh allegations, new evidence, and more pressure. The story was getting bigger every day, and the fallout was nowhere near over. Cassie's decision to speak up was like dropping a match in a room full of gasoline. Her testimony didn't just put Diddy on the spot, it opened the door for an avalanche of new accusations, some going back over 30 years. Suddenly, women from all eras of Diddy's career found the courage to break their silence, and the stories they told were chilling. Joy Dickerson stepped forward with a harrowing account from her college days in the early 90s. She claimed Diddy had drugged her drink and secretly recorded her, turning what should have been a normal evening into a lifelong trauma. Then came Jane Doe. An anonymous accuser whose lawsuit shocked even those who thought they'd heard it all. She described an incident at Uptown Records where both Diddy and another music star allegedly forced her and a friend into horrifying acts, using their fame and power to keep them silent. And it wasn't just ex-girlfriends or old acquaintances. Former staff members and industry insiders began to tell their own stories. Adria English, once an employee at Diddy's label, described being groomed at his infamous white parties, luxurious gatherings that now sounded less like celebrations and more like hunting grounds for the powerful. She painted a picture of an environment where drugs flowed freely and rules didn't seem to exist. Anyone who objected or resisted was pushed aside, ignored, or even threatened. As these stories went public, the number of lawsuits exploded. In just a few months, Diddy faced more than 60 cases from women and men who claimed they'd been manipulated, threatened, or abused. Each lawsuit revealed another side of a pattern, using drugs, blackmail, and intimidation to maintain control, and surrounding himself with people who either enabled his behavior or were too afraid to challenge it. The details were disturbing, but what made it all even more explosive was how consistent the accusations were. So many accusers from different backgrounds and decades described nearly identical tactics, invitations to parties that turned into nightmares, relationships that started with promises and ended in fear, and an atmosphere where speaking up felt impossible. Then, as the media frenzy reached a fever pitch, rumors began flying across social media about a shocking moment in the courtroom.
Walked in there, Rachel, she had on a brown dress, form-fitting, visibly pregnant, head held high, and did not make any eye contact with the defendant, with Sean Combs. She said that Sean Combs directed everything from what she had on, to the lighting in the room, to how she was supposed to interact with the person that she was having.
According to several viral posts, though unverified and denied by court officials, someone allegedly tried to rush at Diddy during a tense day of testimony. Security quickly intervened, and no one was hurt, but the story took off online. Clips and blurry photos claiming to show the chaos went viral, with fans and critics debating whether it really happened or was just another internet hoax. The incident, real or not, only fueled the narrative that this trial had gone far beyond a simple legal battle. It was turning into a full-blown circus, with emotions running dangerously high on all sides. But for everyone watching, one story still stood above the rest. A story so graphic and undeniable that it became the centerpiece of the entire trial. The hotel hallway incident, captured on video, brought years of rumors and whispers into brutal, undeniable reality. It was a turning point, a piece of evidence that forced everyone, fans, critics, even Diddy's closest allies, to face the possibility that the dark legends about the music mogul might actually be true. And with every new revelation, the list of alleged victims kept growing, sending a clear message. The era of silence was finally over. March 2016, Century City, Los Angeles. On the surface, Diddy and Cassie looked like the ultimate power couple, rich, famous, and living in luxury. But late one night, everything changed. An argument between them spiraled out of control, and this time, the chaos didn't stay hidden behind closed doors. The cameras in the hotel hallway were rolling.
And again, just to reiterate what is a freak off, the freak off essentially was something that Cassie said she learned about through Sean Combs about a year into their relationship. He described it as voyeurism, wanting to watch her have with someone else. And she said that she did it because she was 22, 21, she was young, she didn't know any better, and that she wanted to please Sean Combs.
When police officer Israel Flores responded to the scene, he described what he saw as something out of a nightmare. Diddy's face had a devilish look. A flower vase was smashed to pieces, and Cassie had a clear purple bruise around her eye. This wasn't just gossip or rumor anymore. Now, there was physical evidence and a witness ready to testify. But the true shock came when surveillance footage from that night leaked online. The world saw Diddy, almost naked, chasing Cassie down the hallway. He grabbed her, kicked her, and dragged her back toward their hotel room while she tried to get away. For years, people had whispered about Diddy's temper and what might really happen behind the scenes. But now there was no denying the truth. Millions watched in disbelief, as everything Cassie had said suddenly seemed very real. And the drama didn't stop with the fight in the hallway. In court, even more details came out about what went on behind closed doors. The infamous freak-off sessions, long dismissed as tabloid fantasy, were brought into the open. Male escorts and insiders took the stand, each with their own shocking version of events, describing parties, manipulation, and behavior that stunned even the most experienced lawyers in the room. With every new detail, the story became harder to ignore. What happened in that hotel wasn't just an isolated incident. It became the symbol of a much bigger scandal. But we will talk about that in the next video. Stay tuned.